Christmas time, the most wonderful time of year as the song goes, and full of more commercials, TV episodes, and holiday specials than any other time of the year. And when it comes to holiday specials, there's no shortage of them to talk about. From classics like the Charlie Brown Christmas special, to the oddball ones like the Claymation Christmas Celebration, there's something out there for everyone. But if you're familiar with this channel, you know that I occasionally like to talk about hidden gems, forgotten films, and things that had an impact on me when I was younger. And when it comes to Christmas, there's one particular special that means a lot to me, and while it's not perfect, it's something that I would like to share with you all on this Christmas day. So with that said, let's talk about the Christmas toy. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and welcome back to Fascinating Fiction. Released back in the year of my birth, 1986, yes I am that old, the Christmas toy is often considered by many people to be the lost Jim Henson special. Not necessarily because it wasn't well known or anything, but mostly because unlike a lot of the things you often see related to the Muppets or Henson himself, it didn't really get a lot of publicity or focus. Usually, if you saw Kermit the Frog in something, no matter what it was, it would get shown off on the regular. The Christmas toy isn't like that. Instead of being mostly left behind outside of being a favorite of the few nerds like myself who would watch it around the holidays. So, what is this special exactly? Well, after a small introduction from Kermit dressed up in Santa's classic red, we're introduced to the room of a pair of kids that is filled wall to wall with toys. And what's special about these toys is that when they're left in the room, they come to life, singing and dancing to a song used to explain that sometimes they still feel like playing even after the kids are done and gone. So yeah, toys coming to life and living without their owners. There are some websites that I've seen talk about how this is a good 9 years before Toy Story would do the idea, but I kind of just have to shake my head and look at them weirdly. Toys coming to life isn't a new idea, with one of the oldest versions of that exact tale that I could find was the original story of The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, an 1816 short story that would go on to become the ballet that I think just about everyone is familiar with at this point. Regardless of where the idea itself came from or who did it first, this special focuses on how Rugby the Tiger, the current favorite toy of one of the children, doesn't realize that Christmas was coming again and sets out to become his child's present once more. It's quickly revealed to us that this is quite the bad idea, as we find out that there's a consequence for toys should they be found out of place from when they were last left, where a rather unintelligent clown toy by the name of Ditz is found out of place after trying to get Rugby back and falls over, becoming frozen and lifeless, just like how a toy is supposed to be. This aspect of the special gives it a bit of a darker menace that is a bit of odds with the Christmas spirit. But with Rugby still in danger, eventually a number of other toys go after him to try and get him back to the playroom before he's found. This includes Mew the Mouse, a toy for the house's pet cat, and Apple the Doll, a toy that Rugby replaced as the favorite Christmas toy. It's as they all go to the living room and Rugby discovers his owner's newest toy, a Space Queen action figure by the name of Meteora, that it really gets explained to him what Christmas is for the kids and how there are always going to be new toys joining the playroom. It's actually the character of Meteora that I think is where the comparison people make to Toy Story really comes into effect, considering the fact that the space toy here thinks she's the real deal, something that we would see many years later play to perfection in Buzz Lightyear. They eventually have to convince her that she is indeed a toy, and do so through song. But this is only after they go through a bit of Apple's backstory as the Christmas present before Rugby, and the simple truth that hadn't really hit the Tiger toy at this point. The fact that if he is found in Meteora's present, instead of where his owner left him, he'll be frozen forever. Oops. It is with that realization and putting Miura back into her present to become the Christmas superstar, as the rest of the toys sang, that the group tries to return to the playroom, with everyone getting there except for Mew, who is caught outside by the parents of the household and is frozen. Rugby, wanting to go out and try and save him, ends up sneaking back to where Mew is taken by the family, placed over in the cat's bed. This is where Rugby sings a song about how much he's learned to care about Mew over their journey, and it eventually ends up bringing Mew back to life through the power of love and friendship. And this song is then suddenly known about the toys back in the playroom, who sing a much more Christmas-themed version than the one that Rugby sang, ending up bringing back Ditz and a few of the other toys who had been frozen. It's honestly the only real misstep of the entire little special for me. On the one hand, I really do think it goes along with the spirit of the holidays for there to be a miracle like this. On the other hand, the sudden knowledge that the toys in the playroom have of the song just doesn't make sense. But even then, it doesn't really lessen the impact of the song itself. A soothing lullaby of sorts that promises that no matter what happens, even for those friends who are gone, that they'll be together for the Christmas and the holidays.
Old friends, dear friends, living in harmony.
It's a heartwarming tune, up there with the best of them that Jim Henson and the rest of the Muppet crew were well known for. The entire special actually ends out with the revelation to the toys that even if their owner gets a new toy for Christmas, she still loves the entire lot of them. And then finally, it bookends the entire film with the reprise of the life-giving song that they sang before, and Kermit the Frog wishing the audience farewell before joining in for the final verse. The movie was actually written by Laura Phillips, who also wrote some of the episodes and had a major hand in developing one of the other Muppet franchises, the series Fraggle Rock. And it's actually hard not to see some of the relation that the two have, as Fraggle Rock, for all of its colorful characters, was actually known for having elements about how the characters would separate themselves based on race and other such serious topics. And you can see this in a tiny bit in the special itself, with Rugby the Tiger often putting Mew down for being a cat toy and not being made for people like he and the rest were, something that he changes his tune on by the end of the film. Since it's often hard, if not impossible, to find some of the production information about these older films, considering stuff like that was usually kept hush-hush back in those days, there is still a bit of interesting information about the film when it comes to the following re-releases. In particular, the DVD release that I'm actually using for most of the footage here. You see, while the VHS version of the film contained all the original footage, the DVD was actually released by a company known as Hit Entertainment, a defunct British company that was also distributed by Lionsgate. But when this DVD was coming out, it was the year 2008, a good 4 years after Disney had purchased the rights to the Muppets. This special, along with the Sesame Street and the Fraggle Rock characters, weren't sold to the mouse, and because of this, Kermit actually had to be cut out of the DVD release. Which is kind of disappointing considering the ending of the entire film has all the toys singing together in harmony along with Kermit, and that also had to be removed. Thankfully, you can actually see the full version of the film now that it's been put onto Amazon, though if you know if there's like an extra DVD out there that's unedited, tell me and know that I'll be grabbing it immediately. There's one final little tidbit about this film that I would love to talk about before we end things off today, and that's the use of the song at the end, Together at Christmas. You see, it's actually used in one other Christmas special. In particular, the much more well-known special known as A Muppet Family Christmas. You see, pretty much all the big names from all the franchises of the Muppet were getting together at Fozzie's house for Christmas in this special. And what's particularly special is that at the end of the film, they're all singing different Christmas songs. And guess what ends the entire thing?
Old friends, new friends, home with the family.
Together at Christmas, the song holding together the entire group of Muppets as they sing about family and being with each other. It's got a bit of a different impact to the entire song when you consider that this is very much an original Christmas song, and the fact that because of what they are in their context of their story, the Christmas toy characters can't really be a part of the festivities like the other Muppets. So instead, the heart and soul of their special gets to end out this one, along with the entire gang from the rest of the Muppet creations being able to sing together as one. As a holiday special, the Christmas toy isn't perfect. It's got a bit of pacing issues, and overall it's something that I think could probably use a little bit more work back in those days, but it's still something that the family and I can't help but watch just about every year around the holidays. And here's hoping your own holidays are filled with laughter, love, and a little bit of song. And as Kermit says in the original cut of the film, sometimes all there's left to do in the end is join in.